Hello everyone, and welcome back to yet another market outlook presented by SwissBorg, where this week we're going to take a look at the continued contagion of FTX and its domino effects. We're going to mention SwissBorg's new Launchpad, as well as SwissBorg's Series A, which will now be also available to the community. And finally, we'll end with an interesting look at the interaction between crypto and the World Cup as of now. First and foremost, this week, we'll be discussing the Launchpad and the Series A. So as you will all know by now, SwissBorg recently announced that the Launchpad is starting. The first initiative will be displayed on the Launchpad, the link of which you can find either on the website or anywhere really on the Twitter pages. Overall, this Launchpad is an extremely exciting moment for SwissBorg. It shows really how we're positioning ourselves very uniquely in the space, and the Launchpad is just another of our product offerings that really makes this ecosystem so strong. I highly suggest you go check out the AMA, which was made by Danny, Anthony, Alexander Kalen, and Shane, where they discuss what is this Launchpad, what things will be developed, and what is the philosophy and the vision behind it. As the Launchpad has been announced, the first initiative is the very long-awaited SwissBorg Series A, which is an extremely exciting moment, both for SwissBorg as well as the community of SwissBorg, because indeed, the community will be able to participate in this initial offering of the Series A. Now, for an early sale opportunity, you should head to the site right now, head to the SwissBorg website on the Launchpad, where you will see the first offering on the Launchpad, which is this Series A. Now, I highly suggest you go check this out, you register if you're interested, and don't miss this opportunity, because really, this is the perfect moment to position yourself both for the present and the future of the crypto space, and there's no better way to do it than to participate in SwissBorg Series A. So please go check it out, register if you're interested, as well as go check out the Launchpad AMA, which was extremely interesting and very, very informative. Following from the extremely exciting news of the Launchpad AMA, as well as SwissBorg Series A, we of course need to go back to the FTX saga to see what has been happening recently. Therefore, is this FTX contagion spreading more? And is it spreading more in terms of bankruptcies in the industry? That's what we're going to touch upon right now. So, of course, as you all know by now, FTX filed for bankruptcy, so they filed for Chapter 11, and so did Alameda Research, which was the trading arm of FTX, where certain fraudulent activities were being done between these two companies that were very much interlinked. Now, since they've gone bankrupt, they've of course caused ripple effects in the industry, meaning that other players were in turn also affected. Players that were directly affected were, for example, BlockFi recently, which a couple of days ago filed for bankruptcy. Now, this is extremely relevant news because BlockFi is really one of the larger platforms and one of the larger names in the crypto space. It's essentially a holistic platform that offers a variety of financial products to investors and users. And as of a couple of days ago, BlockFi has actually filed for bankruptcy as well. And this is yet another player in the FTX saga that collapses and that has issues because of the ripple effects in the industry. Now, as I mentioned last week, it's not necessarily the end of the negative externalities from this FTX saga. There could be other players that are about to fall, some of which I will name here, but a lot more of which could potentially still be a bit hidden or not fully disclose how much they have stuck on FTX. So one of the more important one is Genesis. Now, Genesis, as you will all probably know, is a crypto broker, a very large one at that as well. And they mentioned that on November 10th, they had about 170, 180 million in locked funds on FTX. Now, this, of course, is extremely concerning because no one really knows when those funds will be retrieved and if ever they will be recovered. Therefore, it means that Genesis could be seeing a lot of issues if they don't manage to retrieve those funds. Secondly, we have Galois Capital. Galois Capital is actually a hedge fund that is a non-crypto company. But why is this relevant? It's because even with it being a non-crypto company, it currently has half of its capital, half of its assets under management stuck on FTX. This amounts to about $100 million, which shows you, even if you don't take the number at face value, but looking at the ratio, 50% of your AUM stuck on a platform where you don't know if you're ever going to get that back is naturally going to lead to problems for your company. Finally, in this list of companies that could be affected very soon, or at least the ones that are publicly disclosing this, is Multicoin Capital. Multicoin Capital is another major crypto venture capital. They are relatively less affected by the FTX saga, but they still disclose that they have about 10% of their holdings at the moment still on FTX, which they try to retrieve, but is still in a withdrawal process at the moment. As I explained, these are just the ones that came out publicly, as well as mentioned last week, Ikigai, Gemini, DCG, that are currently potentially having issues. But these are all the ones that are publicly disclosing that. There could be other players that right now are silent, that don't want to cause any fear or FUD, as they like to say, in the industry or overall in the crypto space, and therefore decide to remain silent while they're trying to figure out all of these issues. We'll see if there's other domino pieces to fall, but for now, just keep in mind that, of course, it's likely that the worst of these news, or maybe not the worst, but some more negative news is to come, and some more players in the industry could also very well be falling. Following on from the FTX saga, it's important to look at exchanges at the moment and to see how the industry and how the space has changed since FTX collapsed. So this can be very comparable to what happened in the DeFi space when Luna Terra collapsed, meaning that in the case of FTX, it was one of the biggest exchanges. In the case of Luna Terra, it was the second biggest blockchain in terms of TVL in the DeFi space. Luna and Terra quickly gained traction and gained a lot of market share, rising in the charts in terms of blockchains in the DeFi space, and only second to, of course, Ethereum, which has always been the king. Nonetheless, Ethereum, although Ethereum had a large majority of the market share, Luna and Terra also made up a consistent portion of that, ranging from anywhere from 10 to 15% of total value locked across all chains. Of course, other blockchains also had TVL, but Ethereum, Luna, and Terra were the two main ones. Now, what happened is that when Luna Terra suddenly collapsed because of UST and the interaction mechanisms with Luna itself, the blockchain collapsed, the entire TVL was pretty much wiped away. And what that meant is that dominance went back into Ethereum primarily, although other blockchains, of course, still shared a portion of the market share. Ethereum went back to consistently being above the 50-55% in terms of market share, meaning that there was yet again a shift towards Ethereum being dominant in the space. The exact same thing can be seen for exchanges because of the FTX saga. So the chart there shows a 4-year period where you can see that although Binance started as being the king, and clearly the king, having the large majority of the market share or of the monthly trading volume on exchanges, you can see that slowly other exchanges were picking up. You can see there in red we have Coinbase, in green we have Kraken, in purple we have FTX, in yellow BTC, and in light blue all of the other exchanges. But you can see progressively across the years, especially in 2021, you can see that Binance's dominance slowly started trickling away, and other exchanges managed to obtain market share and obtain volume from interested users and investors. Now, what happened since FTX collapsed, and you can clearly see that also from the chart, is that the dark blue line got increasingly larger and larger. That means that Binance's dominance in terms of the entire volume seen on a monthly basis, Binance's dominance is looking at almost an 80% level in terms of the market share for volume, which is astronomical. Of course, Binance has capitalized on this FTX saga, Binance being still one of the most reliable, biggest exchanges and one of the most recognizable and reliable names in the space. And this has shown because people might have an issue with trust at the moment, especially when it comes to centralized exchanges. And they would only really want to either trade or keep their money somewhere where they know it's a place that's reliable, it's a place that has always been resilient, and it's a platform that has always been there and always done things properly, at least as we know so far. But that seems to be the case. Therefore, the same with Luna Terra collapsing, giving back a lot of the dominance to Ethereum. What the FTX saga did, what FTX's collapse did, is it gave even more power to Binance at the moment. Binance is the clear king. If that wasn't the case in 2021, where they still had a majority of the market share, it is extremely clear now where the majority is heading almost towards a one-stop shop Binance, and all of the other ones are smaller competitors as of now. Of course, there are very big platforms worldwide and very good exchanges altogether, but in terms of daily trading volume and monthly trading volume, we can see that Binance right now is the clear king in the space. Finally, this week, to close off on a lighter and more positive and interesting note, we have the ongoing FIFA World Cup in Qatar. The FIFA World Cup, of course, is a tournament held every 4 years, and it's potentially the largest sporting event in the world every 4 years in terms of viewers, in terms of people that are interested, in terms of countries that are competing, that are participating. The only other one that would rival that really is the Olympics. But in terms of viewership and how interested people are and how passionate they are, the FIFA World Cup is definitely number one in the world. And there's a few things I wanted to touch upon here. First, it's the first year where crypto has a clear presence in the FIFA World Cup as sponsorship. So we know that Algorand sponsored and has a partnership with the FIFA World Cup. We also know that Crypto.com sponsored. And we see finally a very big presence of crypto in a space where naturally this football industry will also gravitate towards blockchain activities, towards crypto space in various forms. That could be fan tokens, that could be NFTs, that can be ticket sales. And that's the second item I wanted to touch upon, which is fan tokens. Now we see the clear impact of the World Cup on volumes of fan tokens. You see there from the chart that as the World Cup approached and as the World Cup started, volumes of fan tokens being traded, and there are numerous fan tokens at the moment that can be either club-specific, like Lazio, Milan, Barcelona, or country-specific, like the Argentinian football team, Brazilian football team. Overall, these volumes have pretty much skyrocketed in that period, showing the interest that people have in fan tokens and how they relate that to the sporting event in that case. We can also very clearly see that with Argentina's fan token. So when Argentina drastically and surprisingly lost 2-1 to Saudi Arabia as their first game of the World Cup, the Argentinian fan token actually lost about 25 to 30% of its value, which shows that this is not just a token, this is not just something to hold as a speculative item. It also is, but you can see how results of actual football games could directly impact those investments, which give a very interesting dynamic as a fan to those fan tokens. Finally, to close off, it's very important to mention that during these kinds of massive events, there are always big scams. This happens in the case of, for example, Elon Musk giving renewed interest to Dogecoin, and I've myself looked online on various articles and seen consistently every time scams appear because they prey on people that don't understand really. They prey on people that are maybe vulnerable or susceptible or very easily convinced about something that is a scam or something fraudulent. In this case, it's important to mention that with these kind of big events, as I just explained for Elon Musk and Dogecoin, as can be the Olympics, for example, or some major TV shows like the Squid Game scam that happened when Squid Game was the most popular TV show on Earth a couple of years ago, I believe. The same can be said for the FIFA World Cup. There's already some scams that arose based on some tokens that were created for the World Cup that were pure rug pulls. But I would just watch out as a user and as a trusted user of SwissBorg as well, or whatever platform you use, pay attention to what you're doing. It's very easy to get lured into something that isn't real simply because of the hype or FOMO, fear of missing out. Therefore, always be vigilant. Always check your sources, what website you're using, what links you're clicking, and who you're getting certain information from. Just be vigilant, because FIFA World Cup is an amazing event, but with these kind of amazing large events, unfortunately, still in the crypto space, we see scams come along hand in hand. So I just wanted to mention that, just to be sure that everyone on here is safe as always. So thank you very much for listening. That was all from me this week. I hope everything's been informative as always, and I'll catch you all next week. Thanks again, and take care.